Is it now?
Is it?
Is it
we live?
here?
Is it say?
It's Saturday during the day.
Woohoo!
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on. He's
Oh, wait,
refreshing
we're
the
refreshing the
page.
page.
Will's doing some.
We're live.
Will's doing technical
we're
things.
refreshing.
Refreshing.
Yeah,
We are
we're
fresh.
live.
We
We
are
are
so
live
fresh
on
now.
the podcast.
We're back.
Sorry, everyone, for the delay. We're back though.
We're back.
We're finally
ready.
back, and then we're
I'm here
special
too. Hi,
delay
guys.
for a lot of different things.
I'm sorry, I took your chair.
It's okay.
That's my fault.
Actually,
fine.
usually Steven sits on that side. Steven
No, I
took my
normally
chair.
sit here.
No, I
Yeah, because I usually sit at the.
yeah.
I usually sit at the end.
It doesn't
have, like, a
matter.
Just
whole-
remember, I am to blame
Yes.
for everything.
Well, everyone, welcome Matt Klien from
Hooray!
Valiant.
Hi, everyone. My name's Matthew Klien. I'm the Director of Sales for Valiant Entertainment. I'm so excited to be here. October Country Comics has been one of my absolute favorite shops ever since Devin and I first got on the phone with each other all the wee many nights ago, a few
Yeah.
years back. And now here. It's always great being here. This is just an incredible shop, an incredible vibe, and incredible people working here. So I'm really grateful to be here.
Oh, yeah, it was it was funny how we actually started talking though, because originally I was talking to Dinesh at the time. He was emailing me directly,
Yep.
which was weird because you'd never really had a CEO do that.
No,
Yeah,
no,
which is,
generally
yeah.
you don't. That's
Yeah.
very true.
So that's always interesting. And then that was when he's like, oh yeah, well if you want to start setting up events and stuff, I can put you in touch with Matt Klien.
Yeah, no, and I was still pretty fresh with the company at that point
Yeah.
in time. I think this was about 2015, so I'd been there less than a year. And I was told there was a very smart, very capable, very awesome Valiant fan and retailer up in New Paltz, and that I was to take special care of him.
You left out aggressive.
So did he.
Yes.
But that's what we love. No, Devin to me is one of the great embodiments of what makes Valiant so lucky, is to have fans like him, who are so characters and passionate about the universe and have a sense of pride and a sense of these are our characters. This is our universe. This is our world. And and it's our privilege, it's our honor really to be at Valiant, to be the gatekeepers of that, and to make sure that we are doing right by fans like Devin, who've been supporting the company even in times where there were no books being published. I mean, there were 7 years where there wasn't a book on the shelf, but there were still the fans out there. Fans like Devin. There were San Diego. They were still doing the Valiant Fans podcast. I'm sorry, not podcast, the panel every year. They were doing the infamous Valiant Fans poker game every year. It's incredible.
like a
But
Don't they do that at all the big cons now, right?
nope, no, just San Diego.
Just San Diego.
Just San Diego, as far as I know.
I thought they did something over at C2E2 the one year.
They might have at 1 year. It might have been before my time,
Okay.
or in between my full-time stints. But no, I mean it's really I can't say it enough what a gift it is, but also the sense of responsibility that we have towards the fans. You guys keep us honest, and we always make sure that we're staying true and we're making sure that the characters are going to be the characters that you fell in love with. And our job is not to change them. Our job is to help evolve them with great storytelling so that these are still the characters that you felt for in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, that's reading, the thing was, it's funny. I would never, reading a lot of Valiant when I was younger, when I first started seeing Valiant, I really didn't know what it was. That when I was a kid, it was I was a big Spider-Man, Batman fan, but that was also mainly because of the animated series.
I mean, that's how I got into the whole
Which
world.
got me to the comics. I mean, even X-Men.
Have you bought your Blu-ray edition yet for Batman?
It's actually playing on the TV at the
there you
store.
go. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to go pick up mine, I think, later today.
Yeah, the
Sorry, boss.
But yeah, no, the other thing too is, so I remembered them and I remembered the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started working here at October Country was when, all of a sudden, like, oh, the relaunch of Valiant. And that's when I started talking to Mike, the owner, Mike, who was, he was telling me, he goes, oh yeah, well, Valiant was this. And he started showing me some of the old books. I was like, oh, I remember these. I didn't know what they were, but yeah, I remember them. And I remember reading them as a kid. Like, I remember Bloodshot, like, vividly.
Oh, don't worry, because you're going to get a reminder of all reminders on February 21st,
Thank
2020,
God.
with Vin Diesel starring. But I know we'll get to that later in the
Yeah,
movie.
Ooh.
But,
Yeah.
I say too, Mike, what a lovely guy. No, I'm serious. He came up to me at New York
Yeah,
Comic Con this year at the booth.
None of us were going to doubt that.
No,
You realize that.
I don't know.
Like-
you guys
like
got
none
real
of-
silent
None
for
of
a
it.
second.
We were letting you talk.
But
That's a
no,
gift.
Mike came up to me this year at New York Comic Con and just like was so lovely and just talked about how much he appreciated the support and talked about how much he loved you guys and what we have planned here that we'll talk a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And just but
So there's some plans.
Oh my
There's some plans in the works.
but the fact,
Are
but
you aware of
it
this?
it says a lot for us. We try to really make our relationships with the shops and with the fans
Yeah.
is our number one priority. Our motto really is to be the publisher with the personal touch.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, one of the
That's
other things.
amazing. I love that.
In case anyone forgot, Will is still here.
Hi, Will.
Registered trademark that right
Will,
Yeah,
tell
no,
me if I'm
I-
too close to the mic. Would you? You're good.
Okay. I mean, we could get like real personal and just have everyone crammed onto the camera.
Can we go
I'm down
on
for
Rocky
whatever.
Horror Picture Show? Can I sit on everyone?
No,
please?
you're not Tim Curry, so you can't do that.
Listen, I'm just the guest, so
You're just gonna abide by my rules.
pretty much.
Perfect.
But no. So one of the things though that I've always really liked is that reading Marvel and DC for a number of years is there's never anything that ever seems like it really sticks. Like things are always getting revamped, rebooted, retconned. Whenever something's actually happening in a Valiant book, it always seems like it counts. And I feel like it counts more for you guys and what you think fans or how fans are going to receive it, because you are a smaller publisher and you can't just say, hey, we're going to kill Peter because we know people are going to keep reading Spider-Man even without Peter Parker. Like if you kill Toya Harada and
Will we?
well, you could. If you kill Toya Harada in a book called Toya Harada the Harbinger, there aren't people going to be picking up 20 issues of Toya Harada without Toya Harada in it.
Well, I think for us, one of the things that our editorial staff is a big believer in is consequences. Consequences for the good and the bad choices that all of us are capable of making. One of the great things I love about our characters is that, and a lot of things, and you mentioned it, like if you look at Josh Dysart's Harbinger run, their next choice could determine if they're the hero or the villain of the story.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love about that run in particular is, but with it is if a character dies, we try to really, we honor that concept of death. But really, whatever actions they have, you look at somebody like Livewire, her solo series coming out December 19th, right here at October Country Comics.
Yeah.
But
Love
no,
it.
you look at a character like Livewire who recently has done actions that have consequences.
Yeah.
And they change her status quo. And just as all of us make choices in our lives and change the status quo for how we have to live, so do our characters. And we try to really honor it. But I think also we are younger.
Yeah.
This iteration of Valiant, the modern era of Valiant is 6.5 years old at this point. So we don't have to worry about 6 decades of a title having already been out there. It's a different set of rules that you can try and play with. And we do keep it small. We keep it 6 to 8 books a month because we do focus on quality over quantity, but it also allows for accessibility. Is the way that we look at it. We have a mandate right now that we pretty much have always had, but we're really, really sticking to it, of every new #1 can be someone's very, very, very first Valiant comic. And that's so important in this day and age where you do have people jumping on and off series, at new arcs, where you do have a lot of mini series and people don't know where to read next, not just speaking for us, but just in general in the marketplace. Yeah. And you have so many different arcs out there that feel definitively ending or don't.
Yeah.
And so that's really where our focus becomes.
You guys also though don't over abuse like the retcon game.
No.
Like, where it's refreshing because you see it in Bloodshot where magic pops back up.
Right.
Or not magic, I'm sorry, Kay. What was her name?
Kay,
The original.
Yes.
Yeah,
the girlfriend of the original.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool, concept to have her pop back up and be like, I'm gonna mess with some Bloodshot stuff. You know, just because he's now like
Ah,
semi-established.
Kay McHenry. I adore
Oh,
her.
I do
yeah.
too.
I adore Kay.
And you know the other thing, it's funny because
But you care. That's the cool
Yeah.
thing. Like it's not just popping up for pop-up's sake. There's character-driven reasons for it. There's story-driven reasons for it, and you already cared about the relationship.
Yes.
And that's the that's the consequence, if I can go back to that word, of great storytelling in the first place.
well,
Jeff Lemire having a very clear vision of where he wanted this character
Yeah.
to go for a long time, for a longer run,
well,
and him having the time to tell that story.
yeah. Well, I mean that's a testament to both Matt Kinn and Jeff Lemire when they did
Absolutely.
the Valiant, because honestly, up to like the second issue of the Valiant, which was a 4-issue mini, Bloodshot and Kay never met.
No.
So to form this relationship that everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, no, Bloodshot and Kay, definitely, like this definitely works.
Of course it does.
And it's like what reading the Bloodshot series, you know, you're like you feel like these characters have like they didn't just have like this one time, you know, Sarah Connor, you know, fling with her husband from the future. Like it was like they seem like they have like a real relationship.
There was a deep personal connection waiting for them that neither one realized was waiting for them.
And she also wasn't a throwaway character.
No.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what you see, like, you know, if
in our universe there are no throwaway characters.
Yeah.
I mean, in our universe, everyone has a purpose, and whatever their fates may be, there's consequences to the choices that make, to the events that happen, and they add the stakes, but they also add that beautiful, wonderful layers of depth and character to the characters, so to speak. It adds those shades of gray, which is really where we make our home. You know, I love to tell people, if you know, we don't ascribe to the simplistic notion of what is good and what is bad, because that's not the world we live in. That's not the lives that any of us live. We're all capable of making mistakes. We're all capable of failing, but we're also all capable for greatness. And what I love about our characters is that they are human beings first. The extraordinary abilities are second. You know, somebody, I think I said on another podcast in the last month, we are the publisher of the superhumans with the emphasis on humans. They were not the smartest people in their class. They were not brilliant prodigies necessarily before these powers or these extraordinary circumstances. So they're more prone to, quite frankly, get it wrong the first time, to make those mistakes, but it gives them so much more room, we think, to grow as people, not as super powered beings, but as human beings.
Well, you know, a nice thing, it's funny, a lot of the way that Valiant treats their characters in their books, and you know, the world that they have their characters exist in is much like how Kurt Busiek created Astro City.
Absolutely. Or quite frankly, Stan Lee in the 60s with Marvel. You know,
but you know, and
which is what the inspiration was for Shooter and Leighton, I believe.
And the other thing too is, you know, one of the things that Mike and Bruce, his partner, a couple of years ago, would do with Astro City was, when the first trade came out, they ordered like 20 of them. Right. And they would just hand them to people and say, hey, you know what, if you like it, come back and buy it, and then add it to your list. And they said in all the time, and they kept reordering Astro City because people just kept buying them. And it was, you know, it was one of those things where I think they said, like, out of everyone who they gave it to, only one person ever brought it back.
I've had that talk to. So one of the things that we do is, you know, you know this, we do any and everything we can possibly think of to help comic shops, you know, get more readers, you know, get more eyes on Valiant, and see to try and help them discover the Valiant universe. And we've heard from, a lot of times we will offer shops volume 1s and say, has your staff read us? You know, because we understand that we don't have the movies and the TV and that kind of cross media promotion yet. But one of the things we can do is we have great books. And if you become a fan of it in a shop, you know, your inclination is to start telling everybody who comes in, oh my God, I read this amazing new book called Bloodshot. You've got to try it out. Here's volume 1. It's $10. But when we send over reading copies, a lot of stores will actually end up making them lending copies and say, take this home, come back next week, let me know if you liked it. And I've rarely, in the 3 years I've been with Valiant, heard of anybody not going, yeah, give me the next one.
Yeah.
And then from there, they start, once you get hooked into one series, we hear over and over again, they start branching out into a couple of the other books, sometimes the whole line. Because when you are 6 books a month at $24 a month, spread over 4 weeks, it's also much more affordable to keep track if a shared universe is, you know, something that you're looking for that really hooks you into the into reading.
Well, you know, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, especially when you and me started talking originally, we started doing a lot more of the promotions and everything. That's actually I adopted that practice from Mike and Bruce, where you know, people would come in and they, you know, I mean, I remember it was a time when
he's chuckling right now. He's got some memories of this.
There was a lot. I'm always here on Wednesdays, you know, New Book Day and everything. And one of the things is that, you know, I always talk to, you know, they are our biggest day. You know, obviously most comic book stores, that's their biggest day, is New Book Day.
Saturdays are catching up though with a lot of shops.
It's interesting.
So catching up, as we've been discovering right before we started.
Yeah,
this moment.
So one of the things is that I would you know, I would talk to people, and it was around the time one of the comic companies was having a rather unpopular retcon, reboot, no continuity doesn't matter kind of thing.
Okay.
And a lot of people were jumping off books to the point where they're like, I think I'm gonna have to drop. I'm not gonna have a subscription anymore.
Wow.
And I sat there and I was like, well, what kind of stuff do you like to read? He's like, well, you know, I really like classic Green Lantern, you know, with Hal Jordan, you know, being a space cop, and like I like, you know, this kind of thing, and like, you know, and you know, Wolverine kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, and I handed them the first trades of Exo, Bloodshot, you know, and they were like, and the next day they signed up for like, you know, hey, I'm a big Conan fan. Well, then you'd really like the Eternal Warrior right now, because that was back when Greg Pak was writing Eternal Warrior.
Sure.
So I was like, yeah, here you go. It's like, oh, you're a big Conan fan, you're a big Green Lantern fan. Here, read Exo. It's Conan in space with a Green Lantern ring.
We like to. Somebody once referred to Exo as our angry space Viking out of time, and I was like, "That's genius! I'm stealing the heck out of that." Forever.
He's Conan, Green Lantern, and Captain America all rolled in one.
It's now trademarked, so whoever tried, you ain't getting anything.
But no, I mean, like even Will, for example, he was he hadn't really read any. He just started getting into comics like really seriously, and when we you know, when Quantum and Woody and Shadow Man were coming out, he started picking those up, and you know, it's one of those books that he's looking to read every month.
You made me take Shadow Man home that one day when I stayed really late. You were like, take it. I know.
I love that book.
Did you like it?
Yes, I did.
Did you add it to your list?
I'm subscribed to it. Yes.
Just the fact that you're arguing over who made Will a Valiant fan.
It's Devin with a hard influence.
But no, like the
you put it in my hand and said, take it home.
Quantum Woody is the book that made me a fan of Valiant before I started working there.
Nice.
That was
when Asmus was writing it.
Yeah, James Asmus's first arc on Quantum Woody is probably responsible for me being at Valiant to this day.
Nice.
And I'm not a humor book guy. Like I a lot of times for me it feels very forced, or it feels, you know, clunky, and humor's hard, man. Like that's not a knock on it. It's just it's so much harder to do in my opinion than suspense or drama, especially on the written page, because so much of humor is about timing.
Yeah, and it's not about the delivery. And
exactly. Well, and not what you say, but how you say.
Well, the other thing too is it's also got Quantum Woody's got to be a very cinematic book, because it has to have those moments where you're like, okay, yeah, that's the timing. Right. But the thing is, like, as much as I like the Quantum, because that was my first Quantum Woody was the Asmus stuff, and I liked it. Yeah. But there were some issues where we're kind of dry and a little, you know, kind of like a little slower moving. But you know, overall, I thought it was a fun run. But Daniel Kibble Smith, I have to say, like the first, like it was either the first issue or the second issue where Quantum and Woody are having their big blow up, and they quite literally blow the windows off the house.
Yeah.
Because they just get into a huge like knockdown, drag out fight, and he sits there and Woody's yelling at him. He's like, I never want to see you again as long as I live. You're the worst person in the world. And he slams the door and storms off. And then 2 panels later, while Quantum's still laying on the ground, opens the door back up. I'll see you tomorrow because we have to clang, and then shuts the door. Like, really, like I literally laughed out loud.
That's one of the great things I love about Quantum and Woody is it's such a family-oriented book. I mean, it's about 2 brothers who hate each other, and if they had any choice, would have nothing to do but they need each other.
Yes.
And they think that they need each other just, to climb their, the bracelets every 24 hours. But in fact, they need each other for much deeper emotional reasons than that. They need their relationship. They need the support for one another. It's just one of those things. So it works on so many levels, which is so great. Well, and Daniel had a great handle on the characters, and James, James really rebuilt Quantum and Woody for the modern era of Valiant to do that. And that's what's so cool when, you look at new stories where new creators come on board.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're coming on board and they're really inspired and excited by what's come before them.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have a history of doing is you look at Matt Kint's run when Matt was really pretty much finished is when we decided on how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Venditti had 50 plus issues of that Exo Manowar. And, it's one of the ways that we can say thank you to the creators is say, okay, now your book is complete. So when someone else has a new vision for the character, it honors what came before. Those consequences are still there.
Yeah.
But that's when we allow it to be a number one, because it is the beginning of a new story and a new era of those characters.
Well, that's one of the things I like, so far. I mean, even like even with Shadow Man, and we've discussed this before, how, my feelings on some of the early Shadow Man stuff where I felt that it never really found its footing as far as, like there were some good concepts, but, like the execution wasn't right. Sure. Or maybe, Peter Milligan tried to take it in a whole nother direction from Justin Jordan. And it was kind of, it didn't jive with what came before a little bit.
Okay.
But Andy Diggle has done a great job of just taking all of it to the point where, like, it's one of those things where, and I'm sorry, I'll be honest, like, Shadow Man was one of those runs where I'm kind of like, you don't have to read the whole Shadow Man run. You can kind of just read Rapture and the Ninjak stuff. But with everything, with the way Andy Diggle's kind of, honed and shaped the character and the reality. It's kind of like one of my things, like, I hate X-Men 3 the movie. I've always hated that movie, but
not a big Last Stand fan.
But I can actually watch that.
Moments I like.
But here's the thing: I can watch that movie now if I marathon the X-Men movies, because I know Days of Future Past is coming and it's going to fix it.
It's going to erase.
Well, I think one of the things I think Andy has done a phenomenal job of really expanding the mythos of Shadow Man and really exploring. I mean, the Shadow Man of previous generations all the way back.
That was so much fun.
It's so cool,
Yeah.
and the storytelling opportunities are now endless for Shadow Man. I mean, we could do a Shadow Man in the 1940s. Might be an idea that's been kicked around, but we could do a Shadow Man in the 1980s. We could do a Shadow Man in the 1800s. You could do a Shadow Man in the time of Britannia. You can do a Shadow Man in the time of XO, before he was XO. Before he's captured by the Vine. You can do all sorts of amazing things with this character now that weren't necessarily there before. But to the point, though, as you said, Andy was still building off of all the work that Justin and Peter were doing as they were figuring out, working through their stories and their iterations. And what's great is I love what you said in a lot of ways of, if I felt like it, I can pick up Rapture and not feel like I'm out of place with Shadow Man.
Yeah.
I understand who the character is. I can jump on here, and if I like this story too, and there's another Shadow Man available, I'll go and get it. And that's really neat.
And one of the things we've talked about before, one of the other things I've mentioned is that there's definitely a science to how you guys decide what characters are getting a book a lot of the time, because you see it.
There's a hard lead up.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things where, the Shadow Man book that wasn't doing great. It ended. You did the end times and everything, and that was fine. And then, it was kind of like you heard a little bit of buzz, like, oh, hey, there's people who are asking where's Shadow Man. All right, well, what character do we have right now that's popular enough to where we can throw him in there and see if the books, if the sales go up, stay the same, or go down? You threw him in Ninjak, and apparently it must have done well enough because all of a sudden we got Rapture. And then from Rapture did well enough to where, hey, Shadow Man came out.
There's only one thing I would disagree with you about, is it wasn't so much about the sales, it was so much about the story. Had the story not been compelling, then everything else wouldn't have mattered. You know, that's the thing. We're such it's a character and story first approach. You know, if you give readers a great story, you know, the sales will come on some level. You know, even if they're not there right away, when it's in trade or people will discover it, word of mouth. And again, that comes in part of our philosophy of making sure that, you know, folks who work in the shops can get early PDFs, can see early artwork, can hear about the books from us. We have the largest sales team in all of comics. We have probably well over 1,000 interactions with stores on a monthly level, let alone on a quarter. So we are literally probably talking to more stores directly than any other publisher out there. I look forward to hearing the rebuttal on that. But one of the reasons we do that is so that you guys know ahead of time that the story's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then you can get excited. And then if you're excited, again, it all trickles back down to those customers. But now also our mission too is we have such amazing creators, especially right now, that are coming on board with new series that they want to talk to you guys even more directly than just us, which is really exciting.
I want to say something. I mean, one of the books that you actually did that with me was the Britannia stuff.
Right.
And Britannia is actually one of the things when the issue started coming out, one of the cool things in the back of it was the actual history.
Wasn't that neat?
Yeah.
I love that.
Which, by the way, I will say, it better be in the hardcover because I'm disappointed with the trades. Because that's the thing. That was like when Stephen King's Dark Tower books were coming out.
Right.
They had those backups.
Yep, they did.
And then when the trades came out in the hardcovers, they never put them in them.
Well, you know, listen. I almost said something I probably shouldn't say yet.
I want to know how long we're gonna get, or how long it's gonna be until you slip with something.
I've already slipped. You're fine.
No, but so the thing is,
you just don't know where I've slipped.
So the thing is, like, I one of the big things is that we so I would show it to me, and the nice thing about Britannia, especially concerning the context of it and what was in the book, I know a lot of people who are big history people.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, if you read it and then you read the backups to it, you get like a really cool, you can see where they drew all the stuff from.
Well, one of the things that we're really big on is, you know, any company can give you a comic. You know, there are more publishers than ever. There are more comics to choose from on a monthly basis. There's more styles being told. There's more genres, and that's incredible. Like, let's applaud that way the industry's going, as it should be. The more stories that are being told, the more readers you can get. But at the same point in time, for us it presents a great challenge of, all right, so how do we differentiate it? How do we cut through the white noise? How do we make Valiant Comics special? And rather than just being a story, what more can we do for you? What more kind of can we build a relationship around? And so Britannia is a great example of doing that. The premium formats, the director's cuts, the glass cover, and the metal cover. Like, these are things they've all seen.
They've all seen my metal covers. They've all seen them.
You haven't seen the glass prototype, though.
Oh, no, that's right. Steve saw the glass prototype.
I have not.
Steve was at the New York Comic Con booth where I was showing off my baby.
Baltimore.
You were Baltimore, that's right. I had it at Baltimore. Sorry, that's right.
And
are you allowed to say that? Weren't you not supposed to have it with you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would you say that now? Just because you didn't get to see it, you don't have to be butthurt about it.
Book's coming out in 2 weeks. It's fine, guys. Don't worry.
Everyone's seen it at this point. It doesn't matter.
It is very pretty.
It's so good, but what's cool is that it's a first ever. You know, if it's ambitious, it's Valiant. If it's innovative, it's Valiant. If it's going the extra step, it's Valiant, until we want to make it feel like going the extra step is not the extra step.
Yeah.
That should be the industry standard. The amount that we talk to retailers should be the industry standard. The kind of promotional support we put behind it with things like the gorgeous standee
that's
for
what I was
Livewire.
just gonna bring up. Like,
these types of preview books.
We don't like. I mean, you've been obviously comic book business much longer than I have been volunteering.
Yeah.
But
worked at Barnes & Noble. It's the same thing. It's fine.
But even Barnes & Noble, like, no. Like, even, okay, I'll take Barnes & Noble. They don't send out, like, the other companies don't send out stands. They don't send up like. I really wish we would have put the Livewire thing in here because it's really friggin' pretty.
It's so pretty.
But you know that's
you'll,
really cool.
You've got a photo of it though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You and I took a photo.
We'll put it up
later.
online.
We'll put it up.
That,
Yeah.
and then you even have what was the one that oh my god, Archer and Armstrong.
Oh, that Archer
was
and
really
Armstrong stand.
cool.
We had the Archer and Armstrong. We had the Bloodshot.
The Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
Yeah.
The Shadow Man.
The
The Shadow Man one was.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
What?
Yeah.
No, there was
apparently some
snafu.
snafus on the Shadow Man that I still owe Devin to this day.
I was gonna ask. So I mean, does he ever let you live it down?
No.
Is it like at the end of every text message, BT Dubs still haven't gotten my Shadow Man?
You know what? Here, actually,
It's not usually at the end. It's somewhere in the middle of every conversation.
Is it subtle or is it all bold?
Have you met Devin?
I have.
No. Here's the
subtle.
thing. See, I bring it up all the time though because you see the thing is like
You never know if I'm gonna find one.
Exactly.
So he's always because I have found stuff. That all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Devin.
The best thing that he ever found for me was the original Shadow Man run, the gold cover for Shadow Man #1. They had none left. Like to the point where I was talking to Dinesh at the con, and Dinesh was like going through the box. He goes, "We don't have any more."
I still don't know how that was found.
And he calls me up the one day. He goes, "Hey, they found something in our stock room under like 50 boxes. I'm sending it to you. What is it? Don't worry about it." And I get this box with the Shadow Man gold.
What you should have done. Like, I don't know how you are, like, when it comes to Twin Peaks, but you should have just called him and said, "We found it wrapped in plastic," and just sent it to him. I would have lost my mind.
I sent you something recently that I did not give him a heads up that I was sending him, that he had been asking for.
That was...
that we cannot talk about.
No, that was amazing.
But, can I find out about it later?
Yes, later.
Maybe. I might tell you.
When I cannot get in trouble.
No,
but again, but to go back to the point too, though, of the standees, you notice in there what I love about you guys is you understand why we're doing those promotional items and you make the use out of it.
Yeah.
And we have that beautiful standee of Livewire, but I also saw out there you have the 2-pocket display for Bloodshot Rising Spirit, so that no matter what size store you have, we have something for you. It was like the nanite prevention kit we just recently put out. Which was, essentially it's a first aid kit. It's a first aid kit that Daniel Kibblesmith and Jeff Pena created a PSA poster for, and one of the most successful promotional
thing in the world.
It's easily like top 3 most hilarious things I've ever seen Valiant do.
If you get nanites in your eyes, douse your head in acid. What?
But
do it fast though.
Daniel had so much fun doing that,
amazing.
and so did Jeff. But again, if you're having fun doing it, it's going to be better.
But
that was another example where we were like, okay, we want to find something that stores will make use of, that there's a practical use for, but we also want to give them something that they can display. Now, not everyone would feel comfortable putting up necessarily a first aid kit behind there, but maybe not every shop does.
Yeah.
So we give you a poster as well. And we're saying, okay, we understand some shops will make more use of this, or some shops will make more use of the poster. And we give you options and we give you flexibility. So no matter the size of shop you are, no matter the model that you use for business, we try to find a way, because we understand every shop is like a different person. It's a different personality, different quirks, different likes and dislikes, and different tools.
With what was it, 4001 AD? The
time capsule.
Like,
I'm so proud of that one.
That was such a fun, it was so weird because it actually popped up. The event popped up on my Facebook.
I remember
Did you watch the video that we put
I did watch the video. That was pretty great.
I threw you guys right under the bus.
Was that back in the old location?
Yeah.
I've seen it. I was sitting. We were going through the old pages. I was going through them with Annalisa, and we found actually the video of you guys doing it.
Oh yeah, no.
The fact that you did not crack that open.
Do you understand that almost nobody cracked that open
except Bleeding Cool?
They were the only ones. No names. We sent it to them.
Why?
We sent it to them so that they could crack it open. But we were convinced. We were convinced that within a week of shops receiving this,
they would have,
that at least one person would crack it open and do it.
So close.
And at the same time, the amount of restraint by the fans were incredible.
Hey.
It kept building and building. I remember being in the meeting when that first came up, and then the next meeting was, what are we going to put in on it? Now I was running. This is when I was just the lowly sales manager. So my job was to source the vendors and actual handle the operations for how everything was going to be made. Right now, we thankfully have a much better person in charge of that named Connor Hill.
Well, listen, you didn't take my suggestion.
What was your
suggestion? I told
I'm saving it for another day.
You should have put up a fold-up rye sword in there, but you didn't.
For another. Listen, we did the axes for Wrath of the Eternal Warrior.
You did.
And there may have been discussions and investigations about a katana for 4001. And when we didn't do something like that, the time capsule came out of some of that. So you never know. But that means we haven't done a Rai katana yet. So I don't know. Maybe there are discussions. Maybe editor Lisa Hawkins has one of those prototypes sitting in her office right now. Maybe. I don't know.
How are you not frothing at the mouth right now? Like legitimately.
I think just a Valiant arsenal at some point that we send to shops. One of my favorite things of all time was
I'm waiting for you to make the 1 in 1 million. Like you have to order 1 million copies to get the full size exosuit.
So we're gonna have to talk about a payment plan there. Huh? Yeah, is what Devin's saying. Is like, by the way,
Devin's gonna be pushing everything on everyone.
He's going to literally just have to sell the whole store in the course of 2 days, restock it, sell it again.
I'm really curious about this. Actually,
to see what would happen.
Could you make this happen? Like, I literally want to see this.
Listen, if it's ambitious, it's Valiant.
Hey, listen, the best thing was you see, you remember when I was putting the promos up for the time capsule when I first came in, and I had the Archer and Armstrong standing. I'm like, we have our guards on it. They're good. We're good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. Because that's who I want guarding my time capsule.
Well, why not?
Well,
Archer, yes.
But no, the thing was that when we opened it up, remember, I threw you guys right under the bus. I was like, listen, if I open this up, there's nothing in it. This is not my fault. And I was like, yep.
No, but it was there because we had the seal on there.
We were convinced that this is how you guys were gonna like be able to power the rest of your books. Like you were just gonna steal the souls of all the people that were gathered for the opening. It was like the Ark of the Covenant.
That was when the office came together to fill those time capsules. I will never forget those 2 days that we all spent in the conference room. Just like a Ford plant, just like one item after the other with the coins, then the lithographs, and then
I actually contemplated.
Those lithographs are beautiful.
I have the Shadow Man one.
There was a couple stores.
That's the one I want.
There was 1 or 2 stores that actually had. They actually put it up online, like the full, like completely sealed.
Yeah.
And I sat there. I thought about buying one to just have a sealed one, because I kept
that's right. You only kept the box.
I kept the box. Yeah, that's actually where I put all my Valiant
that
stuff.
Box was sturdy as heck.
Oh yeah. I forgot you just kept the box.
I've actually thought about once I have it filled up with all of this era's Valiant stuff, I'm just gonna bury it somewhere.
And make it a time capsule.
Make
it an actual time capsule.
Make it a real time capsule.
I don't think you have that much restraint in life.
Oh no, this would be like for like my future kids. I'd be like, yeah, if you want, you want to make some money, go. There's treasure out in the backyard.
There's literally coins in the backyard.
Yeah.
By the time 4001 AD comes along, maybe those coins will be used for currency.
Oh my god!
I've got a few of them in the office right now.
So Matt, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk. One of the big things this year that happened, the end of last year, early this year, was all the stuff that happened with DMG. Yeah.
So DMG. So you guys are aware they've been around for I think about 3 years. I think they came on board in 2015 as a majority investor in the company. And this was somebody that the as we like to call them, the previous administration went out, sought out, got them. And got them on board and really showed them the Valiant universe, showed them what our plans were, and they loved it, and they gave free reign to the previous administration of Valiant, and to continue making great books, great stories, great characters. And then late last year, as I understand it, because I wasn't full time with the company at that point, so any of the particulars, I'm sorry, I have nothing to tell you with. But no, my understanding is they made an offer, and it was accepted by the previous administration, and now they have come on and they are the sole owners, rather than having the board of directors in the same structure and same investment structure. Now DMG is the primary owner of Valiant Entertainment.
I remember when the article came out, when everything got like announced. I think it was New Year's week. I think I called you New Year's week. I was like,
I think you did, yeah.
I was like, Matt, what happened?
And I had to be like, I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that the majority owners are now
the owner.
The owner.
Yeah.
And no, so they came on board, and my understanding is that it's been in a lot of ways the same as it's been. Dan Mintz, who's the CEO over there, I've met him a few times. I've met a bunch of the crew out there, and what's really been great is it's been really fantastic. They're wonderful to work with, and really we work with them in a lot of ways.
The nice thing is the nice thing about it, from everything especially everything that's come out since, once all the hearsay articles, got out of everyone's system.
You don't have to lie once you calm down.
Yes.
Once
I talk Devin through a few panic attacks.
No. So, here's what. So my thing was like you have everything kind of came through as it's a similar deal to kind of like Disney and Marvel, where Disney's kind of like, hey, listen, as long as you're staying afloat on your own, we're fine with you kind of being there.
The thing about it too is like because it's not new.
Yeah.
They love what we were doing, and they just said keep doing it.
Yeah.
We have as much freedom now as we've ever had. And they've not made one demand on us of the publishing side that I can think of, that I know about. They've not said no to any raises. I mean, they've not said no to any benefits. They've not said no to any staffing questions or decisions. I mean, we're waiting for them on some levels to finally say no to us. They've been so supportive of.
The exosuit's going to be a no. The exosuit's going to be.
I haven't asked them yet, but no, they've just been incredibly supportive, and they're focusing on other mediums. They're focusing on other aspects of the Valiant, brand and of the Valiant universe. But when it comes to publishing, they're very clear of like, this is what you guys do. This is what you do, and you guys do it really well, and you're keeping heat on the characters, and you're telling great stories, and they want to all they ever asked us to do was be responsible human beings and responsible people with the characters.
So
it's been great.
What would you say? I mean, as far as doors opening versus doors closing, I mean, where
what doors have closed?
That's the question.
I haven't ran into a closed door yet. And we've had. Since DMG came on, Fred Pierce talked about in a great interview with The Beat with Heidi McDonald that came out a couple of days ago. And I implore everybody to go read it, just because now you see what I have to live with on a daily basis. I love Fred. I would go to war with Fred. But it's been fascinating. Like we had people who hadn't been with Valiant starting making phone calls and being like, what's going on? Any room? Do we want to come back? Like I'm one of the people that came back full time. On here when my predecessor, said, I'd like to move on. I've been here 7 years, I'm ready. And so I got a call from him, and I got a call from Fred, and within 2 days, I came back, and I was ready to say no. Well, by the way, I wasn't planning to come back to Valiant. There's your slip up. There's your secret out of the bag. But
you could have just come back as Adam. Like if you were just a little bit
no one can come back as Adam.
If you were just a little bit taller and just shaved your head,
that does not that man it can never be duplicated, and I love him.
They could have there was a lot of big things about people who were kind of moving on, and I was like, because the Adam thing was kind of like, that was like the last but they had already had.
It was because you had a change in the director of marketing, you had a change in the head of editorial leadership, and then you had a change in the director of sales. I mean, that's a fair amount of turnover. And at the same point in time, we didn't miss a beat. We haven't published a book late. If anything arrived late to the shop, it was not because of Valiant.
Not usually.
No, never.
It's generally
we've had
other outside sources.
Are you still not dropping names?
No, we will not drop names.
But no, we've stayed 100% on time publishing despite all this changeover. The quality of the books has not suffered. Everything that we've promised would come out has come out, and that's a real testament, I think, to the team that was in place and to the way that things are run at Valiant, that we don't skip a beat. And you know what's really fascinating is when you have that many people change over in such key positions.
Yeah.
Generally, it takes like a year before people learn how to work best with each other. But what it also provides is now you can reevaluate everything. Why are we doing it this way? Why do we do POP this way? What is the way in which we examine covers and pitches for books? What are the ways in which that we, how we market, where are we marketing to, who are we marketing to? We've done all these things for 6.5 years, but now you have freedom. Now you have a new kind of freedom to collaborate in a way that never been before. And I mean, the absolute truth of the matter is it's the new team that made me want to come back full time. I was in a position where I did not have to in any way, stretch or form. And I was very ready to say no, or no, but maybe I'll do it this way or another. Because my history was I was there for over 2 years full time. And then I left full time and I was working on a freelance basis for about 15 months. And then, my predecessor and Fred came back and asked me to come on and take on this new role. And it was meeting Joe Illich. It was talking to Mel Kylo. It was seeing Carl Ballers in there. And, a lot of the sales team were folks that I, had a previous history with already. And when I was seeing the vibe in the office and I was looking at the pub plan for 2019, and, this is back in May, that all the way through December of that year, I was like, wow, we're working further ahead. The energy is more excited than ever before. The sense of community has never been stronger in the office. And it's so much fun to go to work. I mean, we're staying till like 8 o'clock at night sometimes just because we're spitballing, because we're having fun and we're talking about what's coming up here and how we're going to do it. And everybody's voice matters. Everybody's opinion is heard and counted and weighed. And we are
giant size harbinger. Number one. Giant size harbinger number one.
If you think that idea hasn't been discussed, you are out of your mind.
Come on, how else would that be a homage cover to giant size X-Men with the Harbinger crew pop? That'd be great.
We talk about everything though. Every idea you can think of gets discussed, and we weigh the pros and cons. We talk about what it is, and that's how you get things like the glass cover. That's how things after the glass cover series is done. What we have planned there. What we have for, oh my God, we have something that one of our designers, Travis, came up with that I cannot wait to see if, how, when we're going to execute this, hopefully for something coming out in 2019. We walked it into Fred's office and Fred looked at it, he goes, I hate you. It's too good not to do.
No, listen, you can't do a real Bloodshot USA. It doesn't work that way, man.
Well,
you can't do that.
You're making assumptions that I will neither confirm nor deny. But it's one of those things where the excitement in the atmosphere, where everybody wants to contribute their ideas and everyone feels like their ideas are being heard now even more than ever. It has never felt more like a team, in my personal opinion, and a team that is working so well and is so hungry and is so working towards the same goals and the same and it was already a great place to work, and now it's just a whole new level. Like it's truly a magical place to be right now, and a magical group of people to be in there with. And I'm grateful every single day to be working with these folks, in editorial, in sales, in publishing, and to be on the phone and talking to retailers so that I can say honestly, like when you ask me the question, what's it like? What's the mood? And I'll be like, it's actually never been better. It just takes time for a new team to come together and for us to agree on what the best way to present itself is. And I really think, coming up November 14th, when you see Bloodshot Rising Spirit #1, on December 19th, when you see Livewire #1, I feel like that's going to be, really in many ways kind of the new, this is where the new era of this Valiant really begins for us in a lot of ways, with things like Valiant Beyond. And man, what we've got in 2019, just every day I look at the whiteboard and I see what we have planned. It's just incredible.
So
we've never worked further. We have never worked further ahead. We're already looking at 2020. It's incredible.
So, I mean, May, in regards to that, I mean, a couple other things, you know.
Oh, is this where you try to get me to tell you all the things I'm
no,
not allowed to tell you?
no.
Mel Kylo, who's watching right now, is going to be like texting me, being like, "You're not allowed to say this."
No, I was gonna say the yeah, with all the energy there, with everyone planning everything so far out ahead now, and you know, everything coming together. I mean, where are you guys in terms of you know, I mean, there seems to be like a lot of over the course of the time Valiant's been back, there's been a lot of title turnover. In terms of, you know, we've had at this point 3 iterations of Bloodshot, we've had 2 iterations of EXO, 2 iterations of Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the mainstay characters who were mainstays back in the 90s aren't necessarily mainstays now. I mean, like Bloodshot was a character that came out secondary, who's a big mainstay now.
I would disagree with that, to be honest. I think Bloodshot has remained a vital part of the universe since 2012. You know, hardly a month has gone by without Bloodshot being
from the 90s, though. Like when he first appeared in the 90s, he wasn't one of the.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So it's funny because actually.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. No, because like it's funny because like the big mainstay characters now, aside from EXO, like the 3 main titles that have stuck around.
Who are those to you? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, the ones you have, the big main ones right now are EXO, Bloodshot, and Ninjak. Which is, it's funny.
There's an argument to be made for that.
Because Bloodshot and Ninjak, when they debuted in the 90s, they were secondary characters. They were characters that came out later than the actual launch characters. Which, like, you know, when people think of like a lot of the big, you know, people think Harbinger, Rai, EXO, Eternal Warrior.
Sure.
So, you know, but of the launch characters though, you've got EXO. You know, EXO from the 90s, EXO's like the big. I mean, he's always been like one of the most popular ones next to.
I think EXO is probably one of the most, you know, closely associated with Valiant. You know, when you think of Valiant, a lot of people really think EXO first, especially if they've been following the company's history back from the 90s. Should we give a quick overview of the history for anybody new that's watching, or I don't know. Just in terms of the history of Valiant, where we came from, how we started, etc.
Yeah, I mean, that was like that was actually one of the things we were gonna talk about was the you know.
So Valiant was started. The company was actually founded in 1989. Check your calendars for what that means coming up. But in 1989, Jim Shooter and Bob Layton broke away from another company that they were very closely associated with. I can say it's Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And they had this vision of a type of, you know, universe of characters that they felt creatively they wanted to explore and bring to the marketplace, and everyone thought they were going to fail. I mean, everybody in their right mind, from what I hear, I was a wee Matthew at that time. But you know, they were looked at that, nope, you're gonna crash and burn. And this is before the founding of Image. This is, you know,
well, the guys from, I mean, Bob Layton and Jim Shooter were really, I mean, they were the guys that kind of, you know, started that. You know, I mean, they did start it.
They did.
And then you had the guy, you know, you had the group of artists who followed in suit, which
absolutely
formed Image.
But then you also had places like Malibu Comics and Ultimate and Defiant and you know, and they brought in guys like Joe Quesada and Barry Windsor Smith, and that was who you were launching this whole universe with.
Yeah.
And then going into the 90s, a larger company, Klien Entertainment, that was primarily known as a video game company, you know, came on, and they saw this incredible universe, and they made an offer that couldn't be refused. And so they took up the mantle, and they pretty much rebooted the whole universe, though, under, you know, for what they wanted to do.
And unfortunately, they're, you know, I mean, the big thing was for Klien was they wanted video game properties.
They wanted,
the funniest thing is that the game that they made that was a hit, they didn't technically own.
But you also had Shadow Man games. You had the EXO Iron Man crossover, which I know somebody who was mugged for that game when it came out. And we actually found a copy and sent it to them a couple years ago. And so Acclaim goes along, and they create Quantum Woody, came out of that era. And you had a lot of big names: Garth Ennis, Mark Waid, Kurt Busiek, I think. You had a lot of really big name at the time creators working on the books. I mean, Garth Ennis, Ashley Wood did Shadow Man. You can actually see it here on the third shelf above Steve. And then in 2004, Acclaim goes bankrupt. And in 2005, fans of the original Valiant Shooter Layton days who've been reading it, Jace Guattari, Dinesh Shamdasani, buy it out of bankruptcy. and they spend 7 years. This is the time I was referring to earlier. There are 7 years where there are no Valiant comics being published in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then we come back in 2012. And again, everyone's telling Valiant, you'll be out in 6 months. There's no room left for superheroes in this market in today's day and age. You know, you were a product of the 90s boom. It's over.
That's when Dinesh was like, that's good because we're not writing superhero comics.
Exactly. No, and it's very true. We're writing superhumans comics. And that's, you know,
well, one of the things that, you know, back when you were saying the 7 years they were doing, I remember when I came down to visit at the offices, and I was talking to Dinesh, and I can't remember the gentleman's name for the life of me, but he I guess he was like the guy who was like signing all the checks for a long time for the Valiant Acclaim stuff.
I don't know.
And he was at the office, and he was telling me, he goes, yeah, because I got a call from Dinesh and his partner, and they're like, yeah, your name's on like every form, so we need your help to start Valiant. And he's like, why would you do that? And he was like,
well, that might be Walter. So like what's really great is that you have the DNA of Valiant all the way from 1989 is still present in the DNA of Valiant today with Fred Pierce, who was there. I mean, Fred Pierce learned comics. He was a guy brought in to, you know, to keep an eye on the books and everything, but he learned under Jim Shooter and Bob Layton and Joe Quesada. Those were his mentors. Those are not bad teachers.
Yeah.
And Fred is there to this day. And Walter Black, who was the publisher during the Acclaim years, you know, and he's been around since we came back. And so one of the things that I think why the old fans of Valiant still stay true to the company is they understand that no, the lifeblood is still there all the way back before the Dinesh years when it was Shooter and Layton. You still see that DNA all the way there. And, you know, but we are truly, in so many ways, we are the David versus Goliath story of the industry. We are the company that's told it's impossible. You will never make it. You will never last. Well, and I think it's a testament to the characters. First and foremost, it's a testament to the characters and the storytelling and the comics that we have kept the loyalty of the fans. Yeah. It's never about the people running it. It's about the characters first. And I think you're going to see that, especially when you see the fact that Bloodshot Rising Spirit #1 is the highest selling Bloodshot comic of the modern era for Valiant. Nice. It's going to beat every other number that has come out in the last 6.5 years.
This brings me up to my
for Bloodshot. Yeah. Sorry.
The next follow up here is, you know, the importance, or, you know,
there you go,
or, you know, lack of importance as far as a shared universe goes. I mean, you see a lot of success with a lot of the other smaller publishers. You know, Boom, Dynamite, IDW.
Boom's a small publisher. IDW's a small publisher.
Smaller. They're smaller than, you know.
They're Premier.
Yeah. But, you know, they're still.
All right, fine. Coffin Comics, no.
So, but, you know, they don't have a big shared universe, and
it's a totally different model.
Yeah, IDW just owns literally every pop culture right to a comic of anything ever.
But you know, you see, like, the only companies that really, you know, you see a couple of small pocket shared universes. You see like the Mignola verse,
sure,
you know,
within Dark Horse,
the Black Hammer verse. I mean, Image. I mean, Savage Dragon and Spawn at this point. I don't really think there is a shared universe in.
Well, they attempted one back in they wanted the Kirkman universe with Invincible, Astonishing Wolfman, which I love to this day. I will read Astonishing Wolfman. I have no shame of it. I love that. But you also had Techno Jackets, Guarding the Globe. Like they attempted to to launch a shared superhero-esque universe at one point.
I mean, but, you know, you don't really. But aside from Marvel and DC, there's never been a company that's really gone full shared universe, for the exception of Valiant. Valiant's one of the only, aside from the big two, who has an actual comprehensive shared universe,
and are still around.
Yes,
you know, and are still around. Yeah,
and I mean, what do you think is
what's the secret?
Or, well, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that if Valiant decided, you know, let's just say like they decided, hey, you know, we're gonna do an end to the shared universe thing, and Exo is going to exist as Exo, and Shadow Man is going to exist as Shadow Man. There's not going to be any interplay with the characters. Like, do you think that the books, do you think that the characters could survive just being by themselves without the shared universe?
Yes, because they already do. You can read Exo Manowar from Robert Venditti all the way through Matt Kint's run and never pick up Death Defying Dr. Mirage and never feel like you had to have read one or the other. You can do that with Ivar. You can do that with Exo and Archer and Armstrong. You can literally stay in a corner of the Valiant universe and never explore the fact that there is a whole other one. And we've seen success from different shops pitching it as a shared universe. And we've also had, the success stories of people just saying, just buy Divinity.
Mhm.
Just read this one title, Divinity. And people get into Divinity. They have no idea it's in a shared universe. They have no idea what Valiant is, or Britannia. You have no idea that this is necessarily connected to a larger universe, but we know.
Yeah.
And they still survive and exist and thrive on their own. I mean, Divinity is one of our most successful books we've ever done of the modern era. It's brilliant. Matt Kint just created something absolutely brilliant there. And it's the same with Bloodshot. If you read Bloodshot, you would never have had to read Shadow Man. You would never have had to read Ninjak, and you still don't. To get a complete story and to get a complete reading experience. So I would make the argument they already do exist on their own. They already do stand alone on their own. The fact there is a shared universe is your reward for deciding to read more than one Valiant title. You're never required really to read more than one book to get one complete reading experience, one complete story. And you also see that, I think, in the way that we publish the books. Britannia is a couple miniseries. It almost feels more like a novel release, like Dresden Files. You can pick up Lost Eagles of Rhone and never have read We Who Are About to Die and not feel lost.
Yeah.
And the same thing I would argue with something like Dr. Mirage. Even you could pick up 6 Second Lives and not have read the first book and not feel like you're missing something.
Yeah.
But then you have the total opposite again with Venditti and Kint on XO, which are, multi-year arcs that are this incredible kind of sprawling serialized storytelling. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic there. But at the same point in time, so whatever type of reader you are, there is a Valiant book for you.
Yeah.
So if you do like a shorter, more complete arc, we have it. If you like something more epic, multi-year, we have it. And then you have middle grounds like Ivar, which was, 12 issues, 3 books, 1 hardcover for the whole series, beginning, middle, and end. So you have that kind of middle ground. And also part of that is the market. Part of that is how reading comics has changed. Part of that is what the market will sustain on some level. But really, for our point of view, it really comes down to what type of story do we think is told the best for this character? And that comes from the creators. That doesn't come from Valiant. That comes from the writers and the artists that are pitching us and that we're working with and staying story and character first. So, it's really exciting to be able to offer that kind of accessibility and that kind of variety.
Yeah.
And, we always tell people it's okay if not every Valiant book is for you. You're going to find at least one. Yeah. And from there, you're going to find another and you're going to find another. You don't have to love everything. That's fine. And for those that do, that's great too.
Well, it's also one of the things that's always been really nice about Valiant and their publishing style is that when there is like the mini series event, like for example, Harbinger Wars 2 just happened.
Right.
There isn't
a lot of stuff going on in that one too.
Yeah. But there isn't like, you didn't have like 6 different minis come out that tied in.
We don't believe in it. Yeah. We don't believe in that as a publishing model.
We don't think that's thing with Divinity. Yeah. Like that's what I loved. Yeah. You had the one shots of like the alternate versions of these characters, but it wasn't like Civil War where it's however long and I need to buy every issue of everything. No,
and that goes really down to our publishing philosophy that I was talking a little bit about earlier, where we do want people to feel like this is an accessible place. This can be your home, and it can be as big of a mansion or as small of an eco-friendly house as you want it to be. Well, it's no problem in there, and that is how we approach those larger scale stories.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things too that to Steve's point with the thing about like Civil War, either one or two. It's one of those things. I mean, even a lot of the stuff you see from
don't hurt yourself.
Make no promises.
There's a lot of publishers that do these kinds of things, but it's like the thing is, like, even if you guys did do something where, hey, we're doing this big event and all the books are tied into it, I have faith, like I said before, whenever you guys do something, it counts, it matters. Whereas, hey, oh my God, there's the Deadpool and Cable crossed over into Civil War, and I read Deadpool and Cable and I go, they literally mentioned the war once, and I'm like, in the 3-issue tie-in to,
well, I'm like. Look, I can't speak towards other publishers' philosophies, but again, for us, that's why one of the things that we do is we always focus on quality first.
Yeah.
We focus on the story first, and we focus on, that idea, something like the Valiant. I adore the Valiant on many, many, many levels. It was the first book that I was working on as a sales guy when I came in. I remember, we made 200 stores we contacted in a 2-week period. It was awesome. So it was, that was the first standee that we made, and it's just a great story, beginning, middle to end. But then you also know, well, now I can go into Ninjak. Now I can go into Bloodshot Reborn. Now I have Book of Death. Now I have places for all these characters that are introduced to, and it really became this platform that you could then sprawl out. And that's something that we always look at our events. You look at Harbinger Wars 2 on some level, it's like, okay, well, now I could go and read Livewire #1. But at the same point in time, if you've never read Harbinger Wars 2, it's fine. Livewire #1 from Vita Ayala and Raul Allen and Patricia Martin it's the perfect first book for new readers that that's going to speak to. And I think it's going to speak to a lot of readers, which is really
Steve and Will, you're both getting it.
Yes, you're both getting it.
Okay.
Was there really like
a chance that you
a question? No, there wasn't.
I was going to say.
But again, it comes to what type of reading experience do we think our readers want? What kind? And what's great is, because of the interaction that we have, you're telling me what you want. You're telling me what's working, what's not working, why you think it works, why you think it doesn't work. And then we can listen, and we're small enough too that it allows us to react much faster. Than maybe a larger enterprise. If we were doing 90 books a month, we'd have to operate in a completely different way. Yeah. It's just the nature of the model that you are.
I also just, and for the life of me, I'm terrible with names.
It's okay. I'm not great at it either.
Love the artist that you have coming out for Bloodshot. When you handed me the preview,
it's great stuff.
I loved his work with Cullen Bunn on Uncanny X-Men. Uncanny X-Men.
Ken Lashley is a legend. He's a living legend.
That book,
the nicest human being. Like I've seen Ken at, I think, because Ken is a road warrior. He goes to so many different conventions and is so approachable. And I think that's also one of the cool things that I love about our industry. Yeah, it's like, you know what? There's the dude that created, the Judas Contract and wrote Christ on Infinite Earths. He's right over there. And you can walk up to him and you can say hi and shake his hand. You can't do that at the Academy Awards. It's very hard to do that in any other industry because we're all fans.
And actually, speaking of road warriors, as far as who's the wife and husband couple that are going to be they're getting you talk to them and they're getting the camper and they're driving across country to do all the different stores.
Clayton Mann. Yeah, Clayton Mann.
Clayton Crane. Clayton Crane.
Clayton Crane I spoke to, and his goal for next summer, he literally, for the summer, they're getting a camper. And he just wants to
drive around. Wow, that's amazing.
Which is so much fun because, first of all, the man's artwork is amazing.
See where did we put right up there?
The man's artwork is amazing.
It's unbelievable.
And he was super approachable.
This is one of his covers.
I mean, the man has done everything.
And the inside looks exactly like the outside.
Yes.
He's just brilliant. So it was.
He's brilliant, and he's just so.
Can I do that for you?
I don't know. Can you?
I love Clayton. I think it's also a testament to the creators that the editorial team goes out and searches and finds. I mean, it was fascinating seeing like New York Comic Con when I would go down to Artist Alley on the very little chance that I had.
The moment that you were like, I have to go to the bathroom.
But I would hear that it's like, wow, you know, like I've seen more Valiant editors than anybody else have come over and spoken to me. And I was like, they are so proactive about going out and finding talent that maybe they haven't had their shot yet, or it's been a while, or to really accentuate and find, you know, new sides of creators that you didn't even know this creator could do this type of story or could do this kind of artwork. Like Clayton Crane's process is very involved. It's very time consuming, and he needs lead time in order to do it. Paul Rivera, Miko Soin, Luis LaRosa, these artists that we've worked with, Tomas Giorello, like the reason you get such amazing artwork out of them is they have the time to do it. And we as a publisher build into the timeline that it's okay. And at the same point in time, it still comes out when we say it's going to come out.
I remember
Valiant did not show up late. No issue of Bloodshot Reborn was showing up late to shops because art duties or anything like that. We built in, and when you have Jeff Lemire, who is, I swear to God, he's just a storytelling robot from the future, who can crank out scripts like nobody's business. But I can show you.
I really think you guys should have jumped on that Black Hammer verse. You guys should have you're like, wait, Jeff, hold on, you're making a shared. No, just come on.
I love all of his Black Hammer stuff, and I love Jeff to death about it. And I'm just, you know, as someone who's written in the past a little bit and has a background in it, just what he does is completely awe-inspiring. What he and Matt Kint too, it's just incredible.
What you should do is you should go up to Jeff and say, hey, listen, you know what, that Descender book you did. That could fit real well in 4001 AD. How about you bring that over here? It's creator owned. So
well, the thing about it
wouldn't
though
be that hard.
It wouldn't be considering
if we're being awful.
Here's the thing about it though, is we have over 2,000 characters in the Valiant universe. Do you know how many characters we haven't shown you yet?
Probably about 1,500 of them.
At least. There is so much depth to the universe that has been created over the last almost 30 years that in this, you know, modern era of Valiant, we haven't even scratched the surface with, and maybe we will. Well,
you know what? You have a lot of openings on hardcore now.
Do we?
But yeah, no, a lot of that stuff though.
I apologize, guys. So I just turned to my left here and I see this OG Batman Mask of the Phantasm poster that's up there that's clearly from the actual campaign in the 90s, and I have wanted so bad to figure out the dollar amount that Mike will sell that to me. As I would, in a heartbeat, I would just go hog wild for the greatest Batman movie of all time to have that. Sorry, what were we talking about? Valiant? What? Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying, wow. You know,
oh, the characters in the universe.
Yes, yeah.
So no,
that Incursion glass cover when it comes out, we'll talk.
There's nothing has been said that Incursion will or won't get a glass cover. No, but the thing about the glass cover is like we will treat it like the medals. There will not be that many. There will only be 4, maybe 5 books that get them.
Yeah,
and then we'll be on to the next one. You know what I love about it is I have retailers come up to me at like the big meetings before San Diego or New York. And they go, wow, you guys really like talk a lot about the things that you do. And it's like, well, yes, because the industry should know all the things that we're doing because we believe this is what the industry should be doing. Yeah. You know, we should be sending the box cutters we send you guys, you know, for the staff, but then also these incredible preview books that are for the consumers. We should be sending stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, I don't care if people try to steal our ideas. Let them. We'll come up with the next great idea.
Well, you know, it's funny.
We're not afraid to. We love the challenge. We want to innovate.
About the stuff sending out to retailers to show people and stuff. I mean, I remember when I first started working for October Country, one of the premier companies would send out when you got your books for the week, you know, you would also get a pack of next week's books for the staff to read, for you to kind of preview with other, you know, for other
That's
customers.
Very cool.
They stopped doing it.
Clearly.
There was, and you know, and then like one of the other premier companies had a rep, which we called every week.
Right.
And we did all of our reorders directly through our rep. and then there was a big shift, and that was done away with.
Well, some of that's contractual with the distributors. Some of that is,
yeah.
It's hard to speak towards that just because I don't have any of the actual data, but I can see reasons for why and how they shifted, and some of that is reflected in the marketplace today. But it's one of the reasons that we feel like, no, you know me personally. You have my cell phone number. You and I have spoken at 11 o'clock at night. Like I have literally had my cell phone number is available on Bleeding Cool. Like there is an article, not just Bleeding Cool, other websites from the New York Comic-Con panel that we did this year for the retailers. Like my name, my cell phone number, and my email address is there for anybody. I'm hoping the retailers will be the ones that use it, but in theory, anybody can call me, and that's because we always make a point of saying that you guys, you're our partners in this. You're not our customer, you're our partner.
Yeah.
And without your support, we don't exist. And that's why we've been around for 30 years almost. That's why there was still a presence of Valiant, and there was still an undercurrent of Valiant, even when there were no books, because of that. And that's one of the things that we want to uphold, is the fact that we're not just a brand, we are people. We are, again, going back to what Will liked earlier, that I'll get him a t-shirt for, the publisher with the personal touch.
Oh,
yeah.
That's going to be my own t-shirt.
I'll see what I can do. I can make no promises.
And he's gonna wear it when we haven't said this. Never mind. You're gonna wear it for something, but don't worry.
I'm gonna wear it.
You're gonna wear it for something,
and it's gonna have your headshot on the back.
Well, but the beauty of it is we put such.
I don't know. Get out.
But we have the largest sales team in comics because we feel like it is important that you can speak to a rep at all points in time.
Yeah.
And if it's me or if it's Julia Walchuk, who has completely changed the game for what Valiant is and how Valiant will ever be perceived by what she's done with our convention presence and live events presence, or it's Emily Hecht, who has taken over our social media and has done, I mean, if you're not following Valiant on social media, you are just depriving of yourself of some incredible laughs throughout the day. She's just come on board and just been absolutely brilliant. And Connor Hill, with all the promotional items that he picked up and runs way better than I ever did when I was creating that program from scratch. We all have the retail experience to talk to you guys.
I want my Book of Death 2 pen.
I know you do.
That pen was the best one.
That Book of Death pen, I'm so proud of that pen. I see shops that are still using it. There are people in our office that are still using that Book of Death pen, or the face Sharpies for that matter. Like, those things still get used all the time. And that's how we know we're doing it right. Because even in the promotional items, we're focusing on the quality. Yeah. Like, we understand every level of Valiant has to be quality first. Because that's one of the things that gets me, invited onto something like this. Like, you could have called another publisher, you could have tried to get another rep, but you took the time to say, hey, are you willing to come up 2 hours from Manhattan and be here? And I'm like, heck yeah. This is because this is the privilege, this is the honor, and this is also the relationship that we've built. Yeah. And this is just indicative of the kind of relationship that Valiant aims to build with all of our retailer partners.
Hey, listen, when you dropped down to part-time and you told me that, actually you didn't even drop down to part-time. You originally left. Yeah. And then you came back as part-time. You're like, yeah, so you're going to have a new rep now. I was like, sorry. I don't. Can I just call you and you call them? Like, is there a way to do this?
I was a liaison through.
And then, and the thing was, I talked to Adam a couple times because they hadn't had anyone who replaced Matt. And then all of a sudden, at the one day I emailed Adam, he's like, yeah, I'm going to send this to Matt. And Matt called me. He's like, because I'm back. I was like, okay.
In 3 years, there's only been 2 weeks where I've not been working with Valiant in some way, shape, or form. But it's a testament to how much I love the company. It's a testament to how much I love the characters. It's a testament to what we've built together, and to what we still can build. And that's the great thing is, it's not about where we've been, it's about where we're going. Yeah. And then the future is so bright for Valiant with all the things that are happening.
In regards to where you guys are going,
yes, sir.
So all the titles, no,
very nice. Subtle as a chainsaw.
Subtle.
So I mean, where do you guys feel in the future you're going to be? You stand on, I mean, the heroes and villains and where their roles are. I mean, like if you look at we've talked before about at least my personal feelings on like with DC's been probably the last 10 years, a big focus has been on the villains. I mean, they had an entire documentary, the importance of the DC villains.
They did, yes. I remember
I don't know if that's what the title was, but it was something.
I think so. I've seen it. They sell the DVD at FYE.
Yeah,
it was something about the villains.
Yeah, and it was, but and one of the big things, Marvel's always been kind of, they've always hyped up the heroes and the legacy and the right outside your door kind of thing.
Well, this is for us, I think, my personal belief in storytelling. This is Matthew speaking. Is I think your villain is only as great as your hero, and I think more often than not, the greatness of the villain comes out of the hero's story. I don't think Joker is as good if he didn't come out of Batman. I don't think. For a lot of, I think that's one of the reasons Batman's villains and Spider-Man's villains are some of the greatest in the history of comics, and Flash for that matter too, is, they are born out of the journey that the hero is going on, and then they become bigger and bigger and more popular. But then, I mean, there are whole years where the Joker doesn't show up. Yeah. And I think it's very hard when you have books that are built around a villain to still call them a villain. Yeah. Because ideally, the villain is supposed to be the antagonist of the story, but if the book is about you, structurally, you are the protagonist of the story.
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky thing. Well, but I think that speaks to my apologies. To answer your question in full, I think one of the things that's so great about the Valiant universe is that a lot of characters could be the hero or the villain based on the consequences of their next action. You look at Toya Harada. Is one of the greatest, most complex characters in the history of comics. And I think it's because from story to story, you can make the argument, is he the hero of this? Is he the villain of this? Is he the villain that is doing it for all the right reasons, but his actions and the consequences, vilify him? Or is, at San Diego this year, Joshua Dysart spoke so eloquently about how much he loves Toya Harada and his views on him. And it's an incredible shades of gray that we get to play with. But building up great characters, whether they end up the heroes or the villain, is the first and foremost thing.
Well, here's my question. I mean, in the Valiant universe, I mean, I've been reading, I've read everything current, what's going on. I mean, I don't know if there's really ever been, I mean, in the Peter and Harada story, I mean, clearly they're, one's the antagonist, one's the protagonist.
And we can have that argument as to which is which.
And, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, at the end of the day, the Joker is a villain. The Joker is a bad guy who does bad. There's no deeper reason other than he's just chaos.
Well, depends who's writing him. If you go over that history.
At the end of the day, the Joker, we can kind of say
the Joker being a villain, I agree with you. But in terms of the motivations, and the backstory, that has changed over 75 years.
I don't know if there's really anyone, for the exception of probably Master Dark, that I could 100% say is a stone cold villain in the Valiant universe.
See, and I love that about our universe, because again, it goes back to the fact that these are people first. These are human beings first, and human beings are as capable of making the right choice or the wrong choices depending on the circumstances they're in and what they are dealing with in that point in time. And I think that in a different life with different choices, would Dark have been different? I don't know. But you can make that argument because of the way that we are structured as a universe and the way that these are flawed human beings to begin with. And they grow based on their circumstances, certainly in books like Harbinger, but you could see Bloodshot becoming a villain very easily. Yeah. Exo Manowar was the original, villain in the first arc of Unity that Matt Kint wrote. Yeah. It was Toya Harada assembling people to fight Exo Manowar. And that's where the richness in the storytelling quality and the richness in the characters are, that we don't necessarily have to divine this person for only being a hero or only being a villain for forever. They can be the hero or the villain of a story, and hopefully it's compelling enough that whether they are making the right or wrong choice, you are going to want to keep seeing what they do next.
But my thing about that, I mean, and the thing, and again, this is something we've discussed before as well, is the idea that, you know, they're humans first, and you know, that not only are they human, but they're flawed. You know, everyone's flawed.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even
everyone is gifted.
Yes.
Everyone, you know, and you look at Secret Weapons.
Yeah.
And I love pointing to that book of being like, you may not know what purpose your gift has yet.
Yes.
But there's a reason still to believe in yourself that you can do something great with your life.
Yeah.
So while we're all flawed, all of our characters are flawed, but they all also have the capacity to do great things, just like all of us sitting at this table and everybody out there listening does. Yeah. Sorry, it's so easy to pigeonhole it into the we're all flawed, but we should also remember the flip side of it is we're all capable of doing great, wonderful things.
But I also feel like that, you know, again, to that point though, it's, you know, they're humans first, and, you know, humans are capable of great things and terrible things. But I also feel like at a certain point, it's and one of the things that, you know, has kept Marvel and DC going for as long as they had are those, you know, those great moments where it's like, you know, eventually it's going to come down to Peter's going to go to head with Norman Osborn, or, you know, Charles Xavier's going to
not for all the years that he was dead. There were years where Norman Osborn was dead, and there was no Green Goblin, and the Spider-Man books kept going on, and you had great stories with other characters. So, I mean, I agree. Batman and Joker. But there was a decade with no Joker stories. He's never been completely omnipresent. So that's that now we're getting into the real geek, nerddom kind of arguments here.
But again, even in the real world though, there comes down to there are people who are just bad people.
Do you have an arch nemesis, Devin? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Are you speaking about your arch nemesis?
No.
I don't know. Why not?
What, you?
Who else you got? Oh, I know who you got.
Yeah. No, stop. We're not going to do this. We're not doing this right now.
And Matthew learned something new.
I will tell you a funny story later. But I mean, seriously, there are legitimately bad people in the world. And I think, to your point, there's a lot of circumstances where it's based on your choices and based on your environment and things that you go through. But then there are people who are just bad people. I think
the exploration of that is what makes storytelling possibilities even greater. It's like, okay, is this person inherently evil? Why? What, could there be any chance for redemption for this person ever? And watching them fail at that chance of redemption and reaffirming, no, they are the villain. You think of a Batman story like Going Sane by James DeMatteis. God, I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. But the Joker is cured and tries to live a normal life and then descends back into chaos.
Well, wasn't Going Sane? That was the one where he thought Batman was dead.
Yeah, I think
he
thought
Batman was
he thought he killed Batman,
and therefore he was cured, and then has no recollection of ever being the Joker, ever.
Ooh.
And lives a normal life as Joe.
Beautiful. And
then eventually he's triggered back into that life. So again, even that story asked the question of arguably the most evil or inherently evil in the history of comics. Is this person actually that? What if he wasn't? What if we could try? Yeah. And that kind of character exploration, we just don't save it for special occasions. We just do it every issue.
Yeah. You don't do it just for fun. Fun. You don't do it just to do it.
No,
there's a reason.
There's a reason for every story we're telling, and there's a reason for every facet of a character that we're choosing to tell when we're choosing to tell it. And that's something that we have to do, because when you are a publisher our size, you can't, there are no books that are, what ifs. There are no second tier books. There are always going to be, every book has to be important, and every book has to strive to be great, because that is what you deserve as a reader. That is what you deserve as someone new coming into the universe. That's what you deserve as someone who's more casual with us and just a fan of this medium.
Oh, don't worry. He's by the end of this, he's going to look like he's going to
be all into it.
Oh yeah, no, he's going to look like the last pick of the draft. It's going to be great.
But it's also what.
Oh, honey.
It's what the characters deserve, and it's what separates. We argue it's what will separate us from the 30 plus other publishers that are giving stuff out on a monthly basis, not giving, excuse me, but have offerings that you get the 500 items a month. If we're only 8 of those, you know, we better make them the best 8 on the shelves. We better make it the best covers. We better strive for greatness. And if some fall short, but they will be noble failures. Right. But our track record is way more success, way more hits than misses. And that's what we'll always be striving for greatness.
Well, I just want to, on a more personal note, for a very long time, Tom Taylor's All New Wolverine was on my top list. The minute that ended, ironically enough, Shadow Man came out, and that replaced it with a hardcore replacement. So
that's awesome. That's really
we
cool.
We are actually a big Shadow Man store.
Yeah,
it's funny. I was actually, when I was talking to Mike's like, you realize this is the largest amount of Shadow Man subscribers we've ever had.
But you see, but there is a great testament, because I know other stores that for them it's Quantum and Woody. And so like they're smaller than you guys, but they have, you know, we see the sales figures for that store, and it's, you know, more Quantum and Woody's, and we're like, you know, than so many other places, than so many bigger operations. And then for them, for another store, it's Britannia. I remember when I was working at a shop at Forbidden Planet, I was selling 15 to 20 copies of Britannia Volume 1 a week, you know, and it was, I mean, I was outselling a lot of other bigger name titles that did have TV shows that did have it. But but it's a testament that a Valiant store can be Shadow Man centric versus Britannia centric versus because that's the accessibility.
But here's the other thing. I mean, it goes back to exactly what you were saying before, though, the quality, the story, the thing that's going to compel people to read it, because we have the like I said, Mike's told me, he was listening, he's like, you know what, he goes, I don't know if it's the story or if it's the, you know, the fact that I'm good at hand selling things, but he's like, we've never been a Shadow Man store, we've never sold Shadow Man well. And the thing is, like,
there you go, you become a fan and you tell your customers, and then they read it, they trust you. And then suddenly, and now you have, you know, if you went from 5 Shadow Man readers to 10 Shadow Man readers, or 10 to 20, or, you know, and that is the way that we always approach it. And again, that becomes going back to the relationship between the publisher and the retailer, and making sure that you guys know what's coming up, and making sure that you have access to it early, so that you can spread the word. And the more fans that we make coming through the door, but who also work in the shops, the more success that Valiant and publishers our size in general will be able to succeed, because that's the ground game. You know, that's the guerrilla tactics in there, and understanding that everybody who works in a comic shop ideally is a fan of comic books. Yeah. And if we can make a fan even out of one character, then suddenly your Valiant sales go up, your Valiant readerships go up, and the Valiant community expands and grows and becomes even more inclusive. And that's always so important for us.
Well, and to what you were saying before about the making the number of books you put out, make sure you have the best representation on the shelves, like in terms of, quality. Like, listen, we might only put out 8 titles a month, but hey, we're gonna put out the best 8 titles.
Yep.
It's kind of rolling back into like the DMG and everything else. But what is there any type of is there anything going on that's kind of trying to increase like a rack presence, like a line, like a line
It's coming back up.
There we
Hi,
go.
Google
We're back.
Hangouts is back
We're
up.
back. I think we're back. Where it says live still.
Yeah.
Technical difficulty.
No internet.
Just give it. You gotta give it a minute.
Okay.
Just let it.
Try and let it refresh.
Oh, God.
Okay, there we go.
Are we back?
There we go. We're back.
Sorry,
There we
Livewire
go.
cut the power.
Yes.
To the store, so we had to, but we're back. Everybody's okay.
Are we though?
So.
So I just so you all are aware, I just told them everything that's happening in the next 18 months, and
My
they
God.
are sworn to secrecy and now never allowed to.
I could be
say
bribed.
that.
How did you guys get the rights to Psychropirate from DC?
Oh.
That didn't happen.
Yes.
Let's just say that. No, so you were asking a really interesting question about, do we have plans of expanding the line from the size of the amount of titles that we have per month?
my question is actually really stemming from the new previews.
Right.
Where we've got the new Arc of Exo is solicited.
Yes, it is.
The final issue of the Faith mini is solicited.
Yeah.
Bloodshot Rising Spirit and Livewire.
Right.
And I think those are the only singles coming out.
I think we have 5 or 6 titles.
Or maybe
coming out
Shadow
in
Man. I mean,
maybe. Are we looking at February?
no,
And then we have the
January.
January. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and see if it's 5 or 6 titles. I think you're going to be very happy with the robustness of what we're doing in 2019. I don't see us necessarily in 2019 going above 8 for any given month.
Okay.
And I don't think we'll go below 5 for any given month. We're gonna, we'll stick to kind of the range that we've been in. 2020, who knows? But I think right now you'll still see us in the same range of that 6 to 8 kind of per month.
Yeah.
In there. I think that what you're going to be really seeing, especially though, starting in, as early as February, and then even more so as we ramp up all the way through 2019, is, how do I say this without getting into trouble?
Just say it.
I think you're gonna see a really fascinating and cool balance of the characters that are going to be given the spotlight, old, new, established, unestablished, supporting characters that are going to be elevated up into their own books, along with the mainstays that maybe you haven't seen for a couple of years. There might be some possibilities of that coming back.
So what you're telling me is of the 8 titles you're gonna be publishing a month, half of that's gonna be a line of 4,180 characters. Is that what you're saying?
I actually did want to ask, like, are we going to? Because I loved.
Are we gonna go
the
4,002?
Shadow Man 4,180?
That's
right, because that was
I'm
where
very, I love that you loved
wow.
it. I love that you loved it. I loved it too. I loved all the 4,001 AD books. It's one of those things. We get asked everywhere I go. People are always asking me, "Where's Rye? Where's the 4,001 AD section of it?" Nothing's been announced.
Is it going on 2 years now?
Yeah.
Nothing.
3.
No, it's going on
20. I think it was 2016.
Was it?
Yeah, so it's
4,001 AD. Stay tuned.
Nice.
If the story is there and the story is great and worthy of being one of those 6 to 8 books a month, if it deserves to be on the line and the story is to be told, the story will be told. So I beg your patience, and we'll see what happens in the next few months of previews that you guys see.
Yeah, I mean that's so that's the thing. I mean it'd be nice to see
but the fact you missed them,
yes,
is a testament to how well the storytelling has been and the world building has been. And it's when characters aren't around for a while and you forgot they ever existed, then you're in trouble. It's one of those things. If you miss somebody, then you know that you've treated them right and the stories have been good.
If Fred Van Lente, if you're out there, if you're listening, if you're watching this, I want to know when I'm getting the conclusion to my Ivar story, because you left us with a cliffhanger and I'm still very angry about this.
Let us know in the chat.
25 years later.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a David Lynch thing. And then what's gonna happen is Fred's gonna write the story and he's still not gonna answer the question.
He'll just write the story and never give it to us, and just it will never be published.
It'll be the greatest 50-issue run of a book that never answers the question.
I want you to know that my driving Fred up and down here. I apologize to Fred because I traumatized him the last time I was trying to get him back to Brooklyn. But those car rides with Fred Valente up here for his signings have been some of the best hours of my life in the comic book industry.
Awesome.
I adore Fred so much, and his wife Crystal, who is an absolute brilliant writer and playwright. Just could not be happier, and I can say that across the board for so many of the Valiant creators. It's a real testament to they're not just finding quality talent; they're working with quality human beings and quality people, and it's really wonderful. On every level, it's just so much fun to go into work and see what's new from this artist or that artist, and to see the new script coming in for this writer or that writer that you don't even know about yet. And I can't wait for you guys to see, but you guys have seen already what's happening with Bloodshot in November, and also for Livewire December 19th. Is this where we make our announcement?
Yeah, we should. We're making an announcement. We have on December 21st,
yes, the Friday of that week.
Friday, December 21st at 5 p.m. We are going to be having a signing event for Livewire #1 with Vita
Ayala.
Ayala.
Yep, the writer is gonna we're gonna be driving them up here to do a signing specially for the shop. If you guys are getting that glass cover, maybe Vita will sign it for you. I don't know. While they're here.
That was a cute question. It's like you don't know me.
No, we're so excited for Vita to be coming up here.
And Will be here. I'm going to make sure he's here to interview and talk to people,
do things.
And
we'll have some discussions about what we want to do.
Oh no, you got to make this happen. I really do want him to look like the last pick of the draft. I want him to have a Livewire hat, a T-shirt. God. I want him to actually wear the standee.
Oh, all right.
You want me to wear
the standee? Yes.
We'll just cut some holes in it for your hands, and then
you can. Hey guys! Oh my god!
Running around the store in the cardboard.
Can you just start screaming "Waka Waka" at people? I would lose my.
No, I'm gonna start screaming "Publisher with a personal touch." Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's uncomfortable.
Hey,
I do not.
You know
like
what?
That.
Hold on a second. I just realized something. What? This is the first time this has ever happened. None of us slipped and dropped an F-bomb. This entire podcast.
Well, that's because I've been talking too much. That's because I've been talking too much.
There's also things that we also didn't.
Fuck you.
You fuck
Kyle. You're cool.
Live.
Kyle, we're
just so you understand, when he was saying you're cool, Kyle was pointing at me.
I did.
Which knows how little Kyle knows me.
Anyway,
that was beautiful, Kyle.
Jesus.
And awful.
I knew it. I knew it as soon as you said it. You had jinxed it. I knew it.
I can't. I have no words.
Live, man.
I mean, that feels like a good note to end on right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Make sure you come in to October Country Comics, November 14th. Pick up Bloodshot Rising Spirit. It's the definitive origin for this character. If you've been hearing any of the buzz about the Vin Diesel movie, want to know what this is all about, this is the book to pick up. I'm very excited. And Devin will show you the glass cover that he's going to take for himself and not allow anybody in the shop to actually buy.
I'm buying it.
And then on December 19th, when Livewire #1 comes out, this character being elevated into, I think, in that same vein as Bloodshot, Ninjak, Exo that you were talking about earlier. I think Vita Ayala and Raul and Patricia are going to really make sure that this character now is in that rarefied air and deserves to be and should be. We were so excited to expand this from a mini series into an ongoing, because we just saw the response from fans like yourself and retailers with this team and with this pitch. I'm so excited, and for Vita to actually come here and experience the magic and the joy and be a part of October Country.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Right. Well, that was so beautiful.
It was.
It really was.
Okay.
Without further ado, like magic for that day though?
No, we're pushing it back.
To what? Like, oh my god, you are not sleeping.
Do I ever sleep on Fridays? Ever?
No sleep. No.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for checking in, and actually, you know what? Will, were there any questions on
we answered them currently all. However, we did get a comment. Ray, let me see if I can get that right. Ray Rawlings said, "Great conversation. Am watching also. Great conversation."
Nice.
Just thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Have them invite me back. This was fun.
Yeah, well, you're always here. Every time we do an event,
like when I saw you in Baltimore, you were like, yeah, like whatever you guys want. I was like, I'm pretty sure your schedule is a little bit more important. So when does it work for you?
The best, honestly, was when we did the first signing with Fred, and you came up, and I was like, yeah, you know, Fred's gonna be here, and Matt's gonna be here. And when you guys came up, you're like, yeah, we got a lot of jokes around the office. They like, because your picture looked like a dating profile picture.
That will make my girlfriend feel real happy about it. It's 10 years. I don't know.
I write comics and I like long walks on the beach
and long drives with writers.
I sell comics to retailers and I like long walks on the beach.
No, long drives from the city with the
there you
writers.
go. Long drives from the city. 2 hours isn't bad. Especially not when we were doing the Valiant Mobile with that artwork on there.
You know, you never drove up here with the Valiant Mobile.
Did I?
We always kept missing it.
Did we really keep missing it? That's a shame.
Yeah, we kept missing it.
Oh
I'm a publisher with a personal touch.
That's just.
he said it.
I know,
said it.
But not in that context.
It sounds sweet coming from him.
So I can feel Mel saying I have to leave now. So
I know.
All right, guys.
I'm sorry. Did I get you in trouble? You didn't get yourself in trouble. I did it. That's my bad. All right.
All right. So we're good. Everybody, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me. It was
a
pleasure.
For coming.
You'll be back.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. See you in December.
Sounds
yeah, really. That's a good point.
All right. We're good.
Okay. I thought we were going to say our names.
Okay.
I've been Matthew Klien, Director of Sales from Valiant Entertainment, hosted by
Devin, Manager of October Country.
Steven, Doctor's Wife.
Is that your plug for the soap operas? Is that
no, I wasn't really plugging a soap opera this for
Come on, Will. Get in there. You got it.
I'm Will.
That's it.
That's it. That's how this ends.
That's how this ends.
That's how this ends. End it now. End it now. Stop.